I don't have time to do an introduction. Welcome back to Formula One, Season 1, Episode 10. There will be 2 seasons, this year and next year. I'm making a thumbnail sometime later on during the off season, and yeah, probably. And yes, as you can tell by my display name, we have I have 48 days until I go to Miami next month. They're finally gonna get my vacation, which is a couple of days before Halloween. Yeah, it's probably gonna be. Yeah. It's just me today, as always. And it's opposing expected today with the scarlet red trimmed with yellow and black in a special tribute livery this weekend, starting first and third. If you want to ride on board with either of the Ferrari drivers, you can do so, or any of the other 18 drivers on the grid. You need to get the Sky Sports app and then log in with your Sky Sports ID. If you're a Sky Stream, Sky Glass, or a Sky Cube customer, you can use the red button on your remote control of the onboards and the team radio.
It was said over the weekend that Max Verstappen, none of his teammates have been as good as any of Lewis' teammates, but of course Carlos Sainz was one. Yeah, I am streaming for Formula One today. This is the only stream I'll be doing today, and I won't be joining any other streams later on during this time because I gotta go back to sleep after the Formula One race is over. But I will join the Darlington race reaction tonight if I'm feeling better, because I was struggling a lot last night. So keep that in mind.
This very much looks like another, the Alpha Tauri pulling over to the side.
Yeah, they've had to delay let's say they delay the start or just abandon the start in terms of the orange lights will come on when they form up, and they'll go formation lap, and the race will be one lap less then, because obviously they're fueled to do a certain distance. But how quickly it is near a service road, isn't it?
That's disappointing.
Now, either they might abort the start or do an abandoned start in terms of orange flashing lights. Let's see what comes up here. Because they'll never clear that car out.
Is he already out?
Aborted start. So now go round again.
Tricky one for race control. Obviously, they would like the start to take place, but when you've got a car stranded by the side of the track, you have to put safety first. And that is exactly what has happened. So, just one hour left in this race. Liam Lawson, who had problems with his.
I have 2 Formula One diecasts.
On his formation, on his lap out of the.
One's from the 90s, and the other one is this Charles Leclerc. The box got crushed when I received it, but it's in my collection, not along with my others.
That might need a vehicle.
I'm still on the average of collecting NASCAR stuff. I'll get a Noah Gregson diecast when I go to Miami.
On his lap to the grid, it wasn't without incident for Charles Leclerc. Dipping a wheel in the gravel and locking up, going into the first chicane as well. It wasn't the smoothest of couple of laps to the grid. In Harburger, watching on from the back of the Ferrari garage, 10-time race winner, of course, in Formula One, a popular character in the paddock whenever he pays us visits. So the marshal's working then on getting Yuki Tsunoda's car moved to the service road, getting it out of the way. We're keeping our fingers crossed that the excellent work that they do continues and that this is just a temporary delay.
Formation.
You don't really want a red flag now.
And not really, you don't want to have to go through the sort of start procedure because the teams will then be given time to get back onto the grid with the trolleys. I've been showing you in my somewhat different grid walk this weekend, and they're then into a timed session.
That car is still there. It hasn't moved at all. You can see it on your screen. And I just wonder if they aren't going to need. They might have to get a lorry and get a vehicle out to stop this. But what you can't do, Martin, is just park the cars on the grid without any support and the crews around them for anything longer than about 30 seconds. Really, let's have a listen here. Coming in the cockpit. A failure shut off the engine and just rolled to a standstill. Yuki Tsunoda, second DNS in 3 appearances here in Monza. It happened in 2021. I think that was a brake problem that time around. 10 other mechanics getting ready to go to
well, that's disappointing.
Are anticipating that there'll be a red flag, or not a red flag already.
Okay, Max, we're expecting the race start to be aborted, so we're expecting you to switch your engine off and be a 5-minute delay.
So the teams were told before we were, and just about 30 seconds before that, Crosby, all the mechanics sprinting down with all of that equipment that Martin detailed so well at the beginning of the pre-show on the grid. They're all sprinting down the pit lane. But being this displaced grid, it's a long way for everybody to go. Those cars will be overheating.
Well, they're all sat on the grids currently while race control ponder their options and wait to make a decision. There you can see all the crews trying to get into pole position for a stampede to get to their cars, get the fans blowing and get the fans cooling down the brakes and the engines. The truck has just pulled up to Yuki Tsunoda's Alpha Tauri just before the parabolic of the curve around Loreto, the last corner. And the cars are just sat waiting patiently on the grid after all the noise and the build-up and the great atmosphere. It's all gone very quiet for a moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it will, except for
It's going out to the grid, Martin.
Yeah, because they've had to stop it now. I believe the drivers did exactly the right thing.
What the man, when did they struggle the car?
Felipe is stuck in gear, so having gear issues.
And did you say Felipe?
I think so.
So I believe when the orange lights flash, you go around again. So I think they did exactly the right thing there, but they just can't get the car out of the way.
There it is.
It
Look
was very
how
serene
cute
on the
it
grid
is.
with Johnny and Paul and all the guys I spoke to.
This is the
McLaren.
cutest Tony Stewart diecast I own from 2002. It's a 2002 and I have a 1998 also.
You see in the front of the truck. More importantly, the car is on the back of the truck. And race control doing their
Matt
utmost here
Kenseth, 2017.
a red flag.
And Kenny Irwin, 1997. I have a rare diecast, which is Kurt Busch. I have a 1999.
And we're trying to avoid
Jeff Gordon diecast as well.
But look, we've already got some people running onto the grid now.
So these are probably hard
Obviously,
to
they've given the
find.
signal that, yes, they can go.
I was somehow
to the
managed to
cars.
get them.
The gate wasn't open. There was people who were not letting the gate open until they were given approval to do so.
I have 318 Kyle Busch cars, too.
So whilst it doesn't say red flag, officially this is a red flag. So we have had one lap of the race.
Then we pick up, then we will go for standing start. We will do another formation loop. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, the race is now a 52 lap race. It'll be a 51 lap race because, as Carlos rightly says, we'll need another formation start. And the tyres have cooled down, so they're going to need some blankets. The brakes need to be kept under temperature control. The engines too. The cars reconnected to the umbilical cords, as Paul Barnes said, Martin, on the grid to you. We try and replicate what we've got in the garage, here on the grid.
Yeah, without any infrastructure, as it were. So not good news, though, for the clutches on the cars that have had to go through a procedure to get ready to start, for tyres cooling down, pressures therefore going down at the same time, other aspects of the car heating up. It's just bad news all round, because the lovely structured procedure they have of leaving the pit garages, going to the grid with 3 laps, formation lap, approaching the start line, spinning up your rear wheels 8.5 times or whatever their precise procedure is. And all of that is out the window now, and they've got to start again. Ted.
Yeah, the drivers being said, Charles Leclerc particularly being reassured by his engineer that, look, Charles, this is the same for everybody. As you say, Martin, if it does have an effect, if anyone's cars have overheated, if they're delivering less power or the tyres are a little bit more worn than anybody else, we'll only find out after that one once we get going. I am worried for the teams whose mechanics or whoever it was were a little bit too soon in jumping through the gap in the pit wall onto the grid. You're not allowed to have people on there unless authorised. So that looks like that they weren't authorised yet, but that's something we'll look into later.
Yeah, I suppose there was nothing coming, was there, from race control in terms of a situation moving or evolving, and they decided, no, we need to get going. We can't make a unilateral decision like that.
No, I'm surprised the gates didn't open when the cars stopped, because they could easily overheat sitting on there. But there's like a missing tooth in the middle of the grid, which of course is Yuki Tsunoda's position now when you see the overhead.
I'm going to ask you a question here. I don't know if you're going to know the answer or not, but as we've had one lap of the race, i.e. of the formation lap again, on the grid, can the teams change tyres? I.e. can they put the hard tyre on and go to the end of the race? Or is this not officially a red flag, so that stops them doing that?
I don't think they would be able to. I think until the lights go out and the race gets underway, no, I don't think they've effectively used one of the two compounds tyre compounds they're obliged to use on during a dry Grand Prix. So no, I know what you mean. Could they then sneak a set of other? But they've got the best.
I mean the time
anyway. But Bradley Law's with us on pit wall for Mercedes-Benz Communications. Bradley, what do you know about tyre allocation right now?
We're not allowed to remove the tyres from the car on the grid, Martin. So they'll be starting and restarting with what we've got on the car at the moment. So particularly for Lewis, it was important just to get down to the grid and get those tyres wrapped, so we didn't lose too much temperature.
Yes, because he's starting on the hard compound tyre and going long in the Hail Mary option, as it were, go long and hope for something spectacular at the end of the race.
Yeah, it can lead to a worse outcome, and it can also lead to a better outcome as well. So we've taken that risk with our eyes open, but hopefully it will work out for Lewis. Yeah.
Just to explain that risk, Bradley, that is an early safety car. You've got to run too long if you put the mediums on then, yes?
Precisely, an early safety car would put you in a position where others would be able to stop and then switch to the hard tyre and run that probably to the finish, whereas on that hard, you're probably not in a position to take the medium. So it could put him at a disadvantage, flip that scenario to later in the race, and if he hasn't stopped and then that falls to his favour, it could really work out. So yeah, upside and downside.
Is that pure casino, or is that
he's so cute
somehow, that risk?
It's data driven. We know
where
Ferrari
boys
historically in this race and in this event. So there's some data behind it, but also willingness to roll the dice a little bit as well and see what happens.
And talk us through your chances today, Bradley. You're not the fastest down the straights. You might have a bit more downforce on to help you through the corners. Where are the targets for Mercedes today?
We'll start at 15:20 local time.
But I think George will be hoping to.
That's 9:15 the US time.
Positions as possible, and the pace is so close on the numbers that we.
I mean 9:20. Sorry.
Who's going to be quicker? Who's going to be
I can't speak today.
Behind Verstappen and potentially Perez as well. So if it falls in our favour, we may be able to make progress. Otherwise, it could be a bit more of a defensive race, and that's only going to tell as the race unfolds and as we see also how well people can manage their rear tyres and manage the degradation, because it is the hottest conditions we've had of the weekend so far on the highest fuel loads, and that's certainly going to be a major factor this afternoon.
So Fernando Alonso there focusing hard, and Bradley, so what we expect now will be 3 formation laps. That takes away most of the stress if you've
Oh, look at Charles. He's so
cute. Exactly, but equally, people will be calculating with running in traffic and fueling accordingly, and building a measure of lift and coast plans into it as well. So coming off the throttle before hitting the brakes, in order to look after the tyre temperatures as well. So
I'm
but it should be a little bit more comfortable than it would have been otherwise.
Never mind.
Bradley, thanks
I
so
can't
much.
do
We'll come back
anything.
to you in a little while and see how the race is panning out. Communications Director at Mercedes F1, and Bradley will be looking forward, as will the rest of us, to the formation lap starting in just under 5 minutes' time. So Yuki Tsunoda's AlphaTauri has been cleared. That's back in the pits. Yuki Tsunoda is back in the pits as well. Second time in 3 appearances here. He's not got to start the race, which is a huge shame for him.
It is, but it's also it's a shame for him. But I'm thinking actually of the under 19 right now, trying to keep their heads on the grid, and then older, wiser ones. And we saw Fernando Alonso really focusing hard there, keeping his mind where it needs to be. But the younger you are, I think the more this kind of thing can destabilize you, because you probably in your head have had it exactly sorted out, and somebody is just thrown a double six.
Absolutely. Ted, just head down to you for a moment. Well, I'm thinking of Yuki Tsunoda because I feel sorry for him, because he's just passed me in the pit lane. His shoulders hunched, his looking his head bowed a bit. It's so
Well, at least I can do this.
Disappointing weekend. He felt
Oh,
he
they're
had the
doing this
speed to
stuff.
get into Q3. He missed it by a few hundredths
Page
of a second.
100.
And it's of 2 dramas. Liam Lawton
Oh,
for his
dear
AlphaTauri team. The AlphaTauri team, of course, this entity who have won this Italian Grand Prix at Monza twice before with Pierre Gasly and Sebastian
I'm
Vettel.
sick. I'm going to have to
One
extend my
mirror
game.
was broken and then fixed on the grid coming here, and then it does seem to be an engine failure. The same power unit, of course, they have in the AlphaTauri. They have in both Red Bulls, so that'll be a concern for Christian Horner on the Red Bull pit wall. But otherwise, just the sort of messages to the teams and to the drivers, asking the drivers to relearn all the gears again on the next formation lap from 1st through to 7th, or 8th, whichever one they're using. All the electronics, they need to relearn the gears. So that's something the drivers have.
See from my picks for tonight's race. Okay, make sure not to break my pencil. Yeah. Yeah, excellent.
10th victory in a row. I'm sure he would have liked to have been a few laps into this race by now, and getting all the build-up out of the way and doing what he does so well.
And that means they've got to go up through all the way through to 8th and back down again. Not that easy when you're going quite slowly on a formation lap and race control. I suspect you've done this quite a bit, haven't you? What's involved in exactly in that relearning?
Yeah, exactly. Well, 8th gear is actually this circuit dictates the length of 8th gear. So because of the high speeds here, when the teams are designing their gearbox ratios, this circuit governs how long you're going to go on your 8th ratio. So
15-20 look time. That's not 20.
Hairpin there. So to relearn the gears, they have 2 different types of shifts in Formula 1. They call it Type 1 or Type 2, a slow shift, or a seamless shift, and that's what they're going for. The seamless shift can only be achieved when you've gone through every single gear simultaneously up to 8th gear. The gearbox the system learns how to sync them and deliver you a seamless shift on every upshift. And that can be the difference between up to half a second a lap or more around the circuit like this one if they're not synced.
Critical then. Can you do part throttle shifts when I know you're on the Mercedes sim? Can you, or do you get to full throttle to do a shift?
You can do half throttle shifts, but they don't like it, so they prefer you to do full throttle. You can sometimes cause a bit of damage in the gearbox and the engine itself, actually, if you do upshifts or downshifts with any part throttle in the throttle position.
So that's the point I sort of started with, really. Doing that full throttle shift up to top gear on a formation lap is not that easy.
It's not that easy, but it can be also done at slow
Someone
speed,
playing music
so
in the background.
so you can revving quite low and still go through the gears.
This is gonna take a while. I guess the race got delayed. I'm streaming. And that's not a problem though, because the race starts at 6 tonight. NASCAR race.
Still absolutely the same. Lost his reference point and teammate in this race. He has, though, to his left, got a really lovely hole to drive straight into, Martin. If he gets a decent enough start, and maybe keep out of trouble a little bit. Fernando Alonso, who is starting 10th here, just ahead of Liam Lawson, might just have to watch himself. Look, there's that gap. Lawson goes left there. That could be the best way for him to go at the start here.
Indeed, yeah. I'm feeling scolded by Ted for not thinking of Yuki Tsunoda, but my racing mind just thought, that's one guy I'm going to worry about. What about the other 19? Now it's like, just immediately transferred to a completely different thought process and worry about Yuki Tsunoda.
So Carlos Sainz leads them away then, and we've got our second formation lap. Following Yuki Tsunoda's, it's not a retirement.
Picking Chase Elliott as my pick tonight.
Lap race around Monza here. With Carlos Sainz on pole, the 16th different Ferrari driver to start on pole at Monza. A track that has seen 40 different drivers win here in the F1 World Championship. 5 different drivers win in the last 5 years. Keep that record going with Carlos Sainz, so maybe even George Russell, Sergio Perez, Alex Albon, we're riding on board with now. People tipping him for a podium today. The speed of the Williams down the straights, Martin, that is going to be difficult to pass.
Some kind of speedy formation, that, isn't it? They're going like crazy.
Right, trying to get through those gears.
Yeah, get through the gears and get some heat in the brakes.
Brakes and tyres as well. In terms of degradation and the tyres suffering with that, it's not that high here at Monza. It's all about wear. On the front left tyre, it's the wear factor that the teams will be wanting to keep an eye on. It's how long they can go into what should be a one-stop race without the tyres wearing so much that they start to lose a huge amount of lap time. Have Red Bull gone for a little bit more downforce there to protect those tyres and to protect that wear rate? Are Ferrari vulnerable if they've gone for a greater top speed and lower downforce, which you need, of course, for that top speed here?
I'm afraid this kind of start procedure and multiple formation that adds to the risk of somebody locking up down into the first corner, just getting in there too deep with a heavy fuel load, cooler front tyres, cooler brakes, and just carrying a lot of it. You can get carried along in the pack as well. And of course, if you're close behind another driver, it takes air away from or airflow away from your front wing, and it makes it easier to lock your brakes as well. So a lot of peril now, a lot of peril heading down to turn 1.
And that is the final corner, the Parabolica, renamed the Curva Alboreto in honour of Michele Alboreto. It leads, of course, onto the main straight with the cars, and now filing their way very slowly into
Christopher
their
Bell.
has been waiting there for a while, waiting for Max Verstappen to come.
Tyler Reddick.
Max Verstappen was told over the radio on the other formation lap, the earlier formation lap, getting your left rear tyre a bit too hot. Don't do that next time.
Christian Horner watches on as his team prepare for a race that could give them a 15th successive victory. And the team principals watching on from their position. Zach Brown on the pit wall alongside his team boss, Andrea Stella at McLaren. Darren Williams, the crew, having done their job on the grid.
I got Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Austin Cindric, Michael McDowell, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick. Oh! So it's a 51 laps this time instead of 52 because of something happening. We just get started with the race.
Super impressive driving from all of them. Sainz did exactly what he had to do to cut Verstappen off, and now Leclerc's under pressure once again.
From George Russell as we head to the second chicane. Alex Albon looking for a move on Oscar Piastri, wasn't there for him. It's Carlos Sainz out of the lead from Verstappen and then Leclerc. Then comes George Russell, Sergio Perez. Then comes Oscar Piastri and followed by Alex Albon. Lewis Hamilton down to 9th. He's not started brilliantly on those hard compound tyres. No surprise, not getting the grip off the line that he might have wanted. And there's Sergio Perez putting pressure now on George Russell.
And Piastri will be very, very pleased to have already been past the very fast Williams in the straight line. Can he stay in front of it though? But the perfect opening lap for Carlos Sainz so far.
They're waving the flags then in the grandstands for their hero, Carlos Sainz, leading the Italian Grand Prix into the parabolic. Here we go. From Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and Sergio Perez. Oscar Piastri
One of them is in the pit exit. Is he coming back in the race? Maybe I'll just pick Austin Dillon or Todd Gilliland. It doesn't matter.
When they enable the drag reduction system at the end of lap 2.
Alex Albon is all over Oscar Piastri, and the gap then opens up as they head towards the next chicane. It's wheel to wheel, these two. Is there enough space for the boat to go in safely? And it is Alex Albon making his move past Oscar Piastri and back up in a 6th place where he started.
One of them is out of the race. So I guess he's not coming back then. Well, that's disappointing.
Making places from the start, Logan Sargent, Valtteri Bottas, Joe Guanyu, Esteban Ocon 16th, Gasly 17th, Magnussen 18th, and Stroll, and still last of the pack as we see two McLarens coming into the Ascari chicane. Piastri ahead of Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton. Just
The Gilliland.
On board now with Lewis Hamilton down the back straight we go towards that parabolic. His head just bouncing around a little bit as the car reaches top speed. It's a bumpy old ride for the drivers.
Why is really he had to get out of the throttle so long there to get the front end to bite.
We're on to the 3rd lap of this race now. DRS will be enabled on this lap, and Max Verstappen stable in the 2nd.
The Todd Gilliland, Austin Dillon, maybe. Yeah, I got Kyle Larson.
Bottas ahead of Joe, keeping out of trouble and keeping line astern. And this is how the race started.
Yeah, the two Ferraris getting away slightly better than the Red Bull on the front row, and that enabled Sainz. He realised he'd got enough space to get over there, and he slipstreamed his teammate down there nicely. But stunning driving from the lot of them, it really was.
Look at Oscar Piastri getting past Alex Albon into turn 1. Decent move there. That's how he got ahead of the Williams. Soon to be repassed, of course, but it was a neat little move that from Oscar Piastri. As you can see, Carlos Sainz drifting across because he didn't want to give Max Verstappen any sniff of an opening into the first chicane.
The problem for Leclerc on our inside now, as he goes steaming in to try to pass Verstappen, he could well hit the back of his teammate. So it was a little bit in a cul-de-sac there.
Right to the back, Pierre Gasly started 17th for Alpine. He's got a lot of cars ahead of him that he's getting a very nice slipstream from. He's right behind Logan Sargent, and then he's waiting for others to sort themselves out. Sargent just locks up a fraction, but there's no gap opening as he rounds wheels with his teammate Esteban Ocon. And we've seen the two Alpines get very close to each other on previous occasions this season at Australia, and of course at the start.
Been a while since I picked up a while.
Half a second
think.
behind Carlos Sainz.
It was 2/10, a quarter of a second faster on the previous lap. And we wait then for DRS to be enabled, which it is now. And so will Perez stand down there in 5th behind George Russell? Ferrari needs some team play here somehow. They need Leclerc getting right up there with Verstappen if he can and helping out. That's their best chance now. They've got a corner Verstappen.
So difficult to do that. If Verstappen's got DRS, how does the player use his DRS to get closer to the car with the advantage?
And one more, I think. Or maybe I'll pick Ryan Blaney.
Carlos Sainz is at the parabolic of the next corner.
He's already shining a bit. So,
Has been Max Verstappen's best corner. That's where he's been making up a lot of time on the Ferraris all throughout the weekend. He can see Carlos Sainz sliding a little bit. The tyres starting to wear, so he knows it's just a matter of time before he's going to be right.
And I think those are all of my picks for today's race. And I'm just going to put Ryan Newman on here. I mean, just because he's in a slow car, I'm just going to put there just because he's one of my favorites.
Also got the prospect that Charles Leclerc has to keep tabs, obviously, with Max Verstappen, keeping that DRS range. But if Carlos Sainz, if he's got sliding already. But if he can just keep pushing as hard as he can, and Leclerc can keep in touch
with Verstappen with that DRS. Maybe they're taking the Red Bull into places that it doesn't need to be. Maybe that's an alternative way that team strategy working out. We're on board now with Max Verstappen.
I'm just gonna put Ryan Newman as one of my last picks.
Sainz keeps Verstappen behind him and tries to make him slide around and use his tyres a little bit earlier. Ted.
Just before this gets tasty, Lewis Hamilton's tyres only now just starting to get up to temperature. Lando was dropping him actually. Hamilton struggling to get close to Norris in front of him. And Fernando Alonso got done by Nico Hülkenberg. Quick driving from Hülkenberg.
Max Verstappen is closer to Carlos Sainz going into the parabolica than he was on that previous lap. He was only about 12 meters behind Carlos Sainz. And now comes that main straight, and in a moment will come the moments that Max Verstappen gets DRS. It's only worth about an extra 7 kilometers an hour. With the slipstream as well, it is mighty important for Max Verstappen, who just gets alongside Carlos Sainz and then runs out of room going into that first chicane.
Sayonara, Max Verstappen. So should I say Superman? Because you're out.
For me, that's racing. I don't think Carlos Sainz can anything wrong in terms of.
My story is so freaking long.
And he left the cars with, he's obliged to do. And Max, we just know how audacious he can be. Great driving, loving that. Loving also.
Let's go.
That was a fraction away from both cars coming together, but Max was never ahead of Carlos Sainz. And well, I don't know about your racing line there, Martin. Did he have the right to a bit more?
I think Sainz stayed on the racing line, and it was Max taking his chances around the outside.
Carlos Sainz getting congratulated on his defence.
And by the way, when Max ended up on Lewis's head, I thought Max was entirely
Page 105.
as well. But, it's not the
So gonna be. I did not break my fences this time.
Charles Leclerc is getting, if you can see much, is his head bouncing up and down with a bit of porpoising. I think that remains straightforward Ferrari. The top three separated by just 0.7 of a second as they cross the line to complete lap 6.
Yeah, but I tell you what, Russell and Perez are hanging on very well too. And Albon only 3 seconds behind that pairing. So the pack staying nice and close. And Leclerc is getting into the action now, given the Sainz and Verstappen have been squabbling.
Carlos Sainz then leading a lap in Formula 1 for the first time this season. He's become the 7th different driver to lead the opening lap most in any season since 2009. How much longer can he stay ahead? Max Verstappen is going for it, but off that one move a couple of laps ago, he's not got close enough to make more gain.
We can't see what's going on with their battery state of charge, or SOC as they call it, but I'm going to assume that Sainz is saving plenty of battery for the pit straight in a defensive way.
And behind these three, Sergio Perez, half a second now behind George Russell. He is gaining on George Russell and might be in a position to strike going into the first chicane at the end of lap 7. Down the main straight we go then. Verstappen's not as close as he was when he made the move. They didn't quite come off. Charles Leclerc has dropped a little bit back on Max Verstappen on this particular lap. Sergio Perez, though, is coming, and George Russell is going to defend down the inside. He's got a couple of car lengths in which to do that defence, and Sergio didn't see a gap, didn't see a move, and just have to wait behind the gearbox of the Mercedes.
Oh, Carlos Sainz is speedy today. I'm guessing.
Must keep sending turbulent air back to that Red Bull. Verstappen gets ahead of it.
Sergeant Lewis Hamilton hanging on to 9th place on the hard compound tyre. He's got DRS on Lando Norris. Norris has dropped back, so he's just in DRS range of his teammate Oscar Piastri, who hasn't got the DRS to help him keep up with Alex Albon, who's currently running in 6th place.
Yeah,
Lance Stroll, Martin, has gone up into 18th ahead of Kevin Magnussen.
And once again, in the second race into weekend, Liam Lawson pulling in a very impressive performance. A better weekend for him. We're all dry on the 7. He knows a lot better. And you have to say he's done very well in that AlphaTauri.
Absolutely. This is his big chance to show the world exactly what he can do and try not to put too much pressure on himself But no, this is a great opportunity whilst Daniel Ricciardo recovers after surgery on that broken hand. Verstappen's closer here, isn't he, than he was on the previous lap. And Verstappen is coming. Start the Jaws theme tune music because the shark is moving through the water and down the straight, and Carlos Sainz will see Max Verstappen in a moment in his ring mirrors, but Verstappen not making the move. He was just a car length too far back to get that move done, and Charles Leclerc waiting in third to see if he can pick up any scraps.
Carlos Sainz, 29 years old, he was very wise there. He didn't go and defend fresh air.
And George suggests ball management 6 and 6.
Sergio Perez, who's about 6 tenths back. That tyre management through turn 6. The first of all, there's no call.
I don't think it's going to be like personnel management, is it? Or self management, but I think his code and somewhat direct message was, I'm in a race.
If you can be slightly less aggressive, George, but keep Sergio behind you, that would be the optimal strategy currently.
Look at this then. So it's in the middle part of the lap. But you can see when he gets to the outside of the parabolic, as we used to call it, Alberto now. But he just the Red Bull floats a little bit in the turbulent air of the Ferrari, but he's ever closer this time.
But all this close action, whilst as exciting as it is for us race fans, about 4 kilometres an hour faster than the Red Bulls during qualifying, and even with that,
Max Verstappen is pissed
to get Max Verstappen past Carlos Sainz. So whilst this is exciting, whilst the Tifosi are absolutely loving it, what Red Bull would be hating is the effect that it's having on Max Verstappen's tyres currently, because you don't want to run this close for this long. No, exactly.
He's struggling with the rear, Max. A lot.
Not quite enough at the moment for Verstappen to get through, but so this is all Ferrari can do. Put a pink set on Verstappen, and Perez still down in 5th place. So the Spanish Armada out front there, and he's
Can Carlos Sainz do it?
Carlos Sainz.
So we know when Carlos Sainz gets a chance, Martin, he could be so mature. He's got such ability in his driver, winning, of course, in Silverstone in 2022. What a marvellous drive that was for Carlos Sainz, built on podium 15 times.
Wait, didn't different drivers win in 2022?
A brilliant job in the first part of this race. 51 laps to go, and we're on lap 10 currently. And he's half a second clear of Max Verstappen, which is a little bit more breathing space than he's had on the previous couple of laps. And Charles Leclerc's just dropped back now. He might not get DRS down the main straight. That could be bad news for Charles Leclerc to try and keep pace with the Red Bull.
I think it's bad news for Carlos Sainz as well, in terms of,
Here goes Sergio Perez, and he's going to go around the outside. Is he on George Russell?
I'm gonna have to double check their schedule.
And that is what protected 4th place for George Russell.
George Russell got under the brake pedal a little bit. Yeah, I'll brake when you brake, and then you realise you've got to just ease it out a little bit. Tremendous. And at that moment, you realise you can actually brake later every time you go in there.
Perez still right on the tail of George Russell. Smoky brakes for Pierre Gasly. Ted Travis is down there.
Hey, okay. So Leclerc won the first race last year, and it was Verstappen, then it was Charles again, then it was Max again, Max again, Max again.
Some nice clean air.
Wait, hang on. For Leclerc, Verstappen, Leclerc, Verstappen, 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 Perez, Verstappen, Verstappen, Sainz, Leclerc, Verstappen, 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 Perez, Verstappen, 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 Russell, Verstappen again.
And Verstappen about 0.6 of a second behind Carlos Sainz. However much sliding around Carlos Sainz is doing, it's still not harming his lap time sufficiently to come to the lead.
Nobody can beat this dude. Seriously.
Once again, George Russell makes that Mercedes as wide as he possibly can, and way too wide for Sergio Perez to get past him. While that's happening, Joe Guan Yu pits to try and cover off the earlier stop.
Nobody can beat this dude.
fighting over 18
Does
to
Duke has
90
more
at
points than
the
Ferrari?
but,
Yes.
it's what Sainz can now realise, providing Verstappen's no closer to him in the parabolica, he's now beginning to realise actually I don't need to defend that hard. He's not got enough to get past me.
This is a slowly stop for Pierre Gasly, about double the length because they couldn't get the jack up on the first couple of occasions.
Yuki is Japanese, I think.
They stand still, they're all smoking away. Now, this is Fernando Alonso.
Yep, he's
down the,
Japanese.
straight. That is Nico Hulkenberg in the Haas. It is no longer, I think, the car ahead of Fernando. It's not. He moved as Nico Hulkenberg, I think, started to struggle on his tyres a little bit because he's been passed by Liam Lawson as well. We often see this around about this moment in the first stint that the Haas starts to struggle with his tyres. Now, this is the battery.
Whatever happened to Daniel? Oh yeah, I know what happened to Daniel Ricciardo.
Way more battery. He tries to close in on Carlos Sainz, then Sainz is
Wait, but who's in his car? And his Austrian team's countries, Australia, audience here, cheer puts.
Certain sites will be using his battery in a defensive manner, and to say that is their. His tyres are obviously struggling a little bit in 43 degrees track temperature. And that's the key story now, isn't it? We're moving into that phase, Scotty, of when do you come in and when will Ferrari bring Sainz in? Because
where's Daniel Ricciardo? Wait, so he's in the 3, but
I am too down here, and I'm absolutely loving this. Don't have a sofa down here, but if I did, I wouldn't be on it.
But who is in the number 3 car?
In Max's bow, the second bit of his armory, which is an undercut. So I'm seeing a bit of a movement of discussions on the Red Bull pit wall as to what they can do next. The second card they have to play in trying to beat Ferrari today.
Or will Ferrari go with Leclerc first? I mean, it'll be a horror story for Sainz if they do that. But let's watch if Max comes in the pits. And he doesn't.
You know what it's like at Ferrari, Martin? It's the team first. It's not driver necessarily first. It's all about the team. And at the home Grand Prix, if they think that's the best way, you can understand the decision that they would make, however unpopular that might be, to fans of Carlos Sainz.
Easy for me to say sitting here, but Carlos didn't need to do that.
And Perez and Russell didn't want to do that either. Sergio Perez is ahead now of George Russell, but they both got off the track. So is the place going to have to be swapped? You're overtaking a car off track, but he was off the track at the same time.
Yeah, we need to see the whole thing. I'm sure they'll both be on the radio. So George was less off track, wasn't he? I think there's no doubt about that.
He pushed me off.
Well, whether you push him off or not, safety first, I think, for the Red Bull pit wall to say give the place back and then let race control and the steering decide if they need to. This is what happened. He's just ahead. Up into the braking zone.
no. No points for Daniel Ricciardo? That's upsetting.
George wasn't anywhere near. No, it a lockup as well. So,
But I can't identify the who is in Ricardo's car because they don't show the numbers. But wait a minute.
Down the previous laps. Down the main straight we go once again. Carlos Sainz leads the Italian Grand Prix. Verstappen's coming at him. Carlos Sainz is looking to his right. Verstappen thinks about a move down the inside, and then Carlos Sainz locks up. And that will be a very good sign for Max Verstappen to see the Ferrari doing that, getting out of the chicane. Verstappen gets much better traction, and through the camera Grande now, Verstappen just inches ahead, and Sainz is trying to fight this all the way with bang top speed. He's fighting back. It's about a metre ahead. As into the next chicane we go. Verstappen's on the inside. Verstappen is ahead. Here in Malta, Carlos Sainz fought it for 14 in the mid-laps, but he can fight no more as our new race leader, Max Verstappen, gets past the Ferrari.
Yeah, pit side straight away, surely now. And trying to get the undercut and get track position back. He'll have a horrible.
God damn it. I knew it. I just knew it. He was going to get the lead after 15 laps. I thought Ferrari was.
And look how Verstappen has now been unleashed, like they've taken the bridle of a thoroughbred racehorse, and he accelerates away behind the top three.
There is a
George
speed
Russell can
trap.
still see very large. Sergio Perez in his wing mirrors. Alex Albon still ahead of Oscar Piastri.
Just a lot quicker.
This isn't. This is in.
And Lando Norris chomping at the bits to try and get past his teammates who they haven't pitted Carlos Sainz at the end of that lap. They haven't pitted Charles Leclerc either. And here is battle resumed as George Russell will now see Sergio Perez trying to dive down the inside. And Sergio Perez does dive down the inside on George Russell and get that move done. That takes him up into fourth place.
I say I know what to do.
So Verstappen now leads from Sainz, Leclerc, and Perez in fourth. Russell, Piastri, Norris, Hamilton, Alonso, Bottas, Ocon, and Stroll.
Good lap for Red Bull, wasn't it? Perez getting that move done. And of course, Verstappen taking the lead. As soon as Sainz locked his wheel, he was going to run a little bit deep into the chicane. He was then going to have to turn the car harder, right and left, slightly out of position, and he would not be able to get his foot on the throttle as quickly coming out of the corner. He was just out of position all the way through the chicane. And that's what gave Verstappen momentum and track position.
At that moment, Sainz is ahead, but he hasn't got the inside line crucially into the De La Rocha chicane, and Max Verstappen used that very much to his advantage, and that was the lock-up there from Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, so he had to take back that hander much tighter than the normal racing line, and it just binds the car up.
So while we watch those replays, let's head down as we see Max Verstappen now 1.5 seconds clear of Carlos Sainz.
This will be the trick. Now I can finally know who's the first.
News on Alex Albon there, across the.
Aha, here we go.
And feeling like
There we go, that's
there.
right.
So he's been on to his engineer. They've been trying to manage the situation. I'm not surprised he hit it early.
Russell, Sergio Perez,
They were within DRS slightly distant before he pitted. So
Yuki got a DNF, which is sad.
My idea of pitting Sainz, was flawed actually, because it was going to put him back into an awful lot of traffic, because the pack are going so well generally in Formula 1 2023 and here in Monza. It was going to put him back behind Fernando Alonso into 24 seconds for a stop, into a lot of traffic.
Lance Stroll,
I'm sure they would have, but they're restricted from doing that by the fact that is
1, 55, 16,
Even worse,
11, 23, 1, and 4,
Team Ferrari now swap Sainz and
14, 77.
Giving the team the best chance is Charles Leclerc, now the fastest Ferrari on the track after that lock-up from Carlos Sainz. And getting DRS down the main straight, is that a good time to swap the two cars around?
I think get closer, but I think we'll have to give it another few laps yet before you'd assume that.
I think Charles Leclerc thinks it's a good time to
Yeah,
swap them around.
absolutely. So obviously Sainz has been pushing like crazy up front to keep Verstappen behind him. And immediately Charles is telling tales out of school, but it's factual.
The other problem that they've got at Ferrari is that Sergio Perez now is past George Russell. It is starting to lap significantly quicker than Charles Leclerc, and it was about 0.6 of a second faster on that previous lap. Russell stayed with Perez.
Who was?
But Leclerc is going to find that he's got a Red Bull on his tail very, very swiftly, and Sainz saying that these
Wait, I think I got his number wrong. My bad.
So I think it's between Sainz and Leclerc now as who will get the final podium position, because Perez now released. Ferrari struggling on their tyres. Perez has got a great chance of being at least second in this race.
Ted Kravitz, let's head down to you. Looking at a few McLaren mechanics limbering up in their pit box, and just wondering if they're thinking about Lewis Hamilton. Yes, Piastri is ahead, and maybe Norris behind is quicker. But if they hit Piastri now, then it's all about defending against Lewis Hamilton, isn't it, for McLaren? Knowing Lewis Hamilton's going to go long, they just have to do something. But it looks like McLaren are preparing for a pit stop. I'll let you know which driver
Well, they're going to watch Alex Albon, who's already pitted, haven't they, Martin?
Yeah, I think it's Albon that'll be catching their attention, doing 27.0s back there.
American.
Albon's got a 7-second gap in front of him to Stroll to get some laps out of the way at decent speed.
Alex Albon saying on the radio, though, that he's having to over-manage the tyres at the moment. Is that having to drive a little bit too slowly in his mind to stop them overheating?
Yeah, sounds like it.
And that's the hard compound tyre that he's got onto, which traditionally the teams start on the medium here, go to the hard, that's it to the end of the race, barring a safety car. But track temperature, Martin, hovering around 44 degrees.
That's crazy. There's an American driver.
Yeah, there's no doubt they've got higher degradation out there than they perhaps expected. This is, of course, a weekend where they've got less tyres, with 11 sets instead of 13 sets of dry tyres to work with. So they've probably come into the race with a bit less information.
So Max Verstappen, last time he started
Previous.
was
Wait, it's a Ford.
33 seconds on that particular occasion. He's doing his best to try and put a margin like that in this afternoon because he's now nearly 5
Okay, so we got a
seconds
21-year-old taking over for Daniel Ricciardo, and his name is Liam Lawson. I think is his name, maybe. I think I'm too lazy to double check, but I think. Yep, I see it. I see his name on the board.
Mercedes, that doesn't hold Carlos Sainz up. 3.3 seconds, they could have done with half a second less stationary time, just the way that Mercedes did with George Russell. Bottas at full racing speed is coming down the main straight now, just as Carlos Sainz wants to come out onto the racetrack. And we're on board with Sergio Perez now, going into the next chicane, and Carlos Sainz has come out, Martin, behind Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, it wasn't a great stop, was it? He should.
So Yuki is out of the race due to an engine failure,
Not good news.
I believe,
Look at that.
because his car stopped on the track
Last time around.
during the formation lap.
Like a qualifying weapon rather than a great race car.
Outlap critical, so say Mercedes to George Russell. And is that because Sergio Perez is going to have to come in? Well, Max Verstappen's going to come in first. If they're going to bring Perez in, they're going to double stack down at Red Bull. Perez would want, I'm sure, to try and respond to what Mercedes did with George Russell. Leclerc is definitely coming in. That's going to free up Sergio Perez. But I just wonder here, is this not great news for Sergio Perez as he carries on? He might find that by the time he fits, George Russell has raced past him with the undercut being so powerful. Verstappen does pit 2.5 seconds stationary time. Leclerc is next into the pit lane, but I think with Verstappen, they had to cover off Charles Leclerc. Yeah, that's why they didn't bring Perez in.
Yeah, and Sainz, of course. So, yeah. And it worked beautifully for Red Bull. It didn't even cost them any time with Leclerc coming in the pits because they got away fast enough. And how does this play out for Ferrari?
Well, Charles Leclerc comes out, and as he makes his way into the first chicane, his teammate Carlos Sainz just pops ahead of him, and that was a lot closer than the two Ferrari drivers would have liked. And I'm sure their team boss, Freddie Vasseur, as well. Carlos Sainz is ahead of Charles Leclerc. But that was pretty nip and tuck there for the two Ferraris going into the first chicane, and Leclerc is going to race this one and race Carlos Sainz going into the next chicane. Sainz manages to stay ahead.
As I said, I think this is about third on the podium for all things.
God damn it, Red Bull, you fucking suck.
They realise now they're racing each other for that podium because Red Bull are just so fast on the longer run on the tyres.
So Perez leads from Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. Lewis Hamilton and Ford is having a very steady race here on the hard compound tyre. It can continue to go on when the medium tyres start to go off. He should be okay as Perez now comes in to the pits, and we'll see where he comes back out onto the track, because this could be different time too. Verstappen making his way out of the final chicane. Really good pit stop there by the Red Bull crew. 2.3 seconds. Verstappen will go back ahead of his teammate.
It's involving cars 63 and 31.
Verstappen, Perez, and Alonso. And as Perez comes out, there goes Sainz, and there goes Leclerc. And so Sergio Perez, after thinking he might be ahead of the two Ferraris
up for a pit stop.
Okay, we got two teammates, first and second place, and two other teammates, which is Saints and Leclerc. 56 place, so see.
Leclerc doesn't do. Leclerc came in the pit, so Perez stayed out. His tyres are a little bit fresher, but he's lost track position.
He's lost track position.
Pit stops 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 3 1 1 1. I guess.
Here is Lewis Hamilton.
If I just said 3 for a second, every time. Okay, so 4 or 5 of these guys in the pit, yeah. So they need a pit, or else they're gonna be in trouble. Meaning, like, they're gonna have to flat tire or something, or run out of fuel.
And he's leading at the moment because he hasn't pitted yet, and others that were ahead of him have come in for their pit stop. I tell you who's coming in for a pit stop now, Lando Norris. Yeah, they don't want Lando to be stuck behind his teammates, and they're going to try and respond to a few others as Carlos Sainz starts to find quite a bit of time on these hard tyres. Ted, down to you. Very nice stop, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough to give Albon. I think Albon's got this with that early stop. There is Carlos Sainz from Leclerc, from Perez. Where is Alex Albon? Motoring down the main straight currently, and there you just see him as he heads towards the first chicane, with Esteban Ocon hot on his tail. So Ocon hasn't pitted yet, but Alex Albon has. He's currently in 9th, Ocon 10th, and Norris down in 11th ahead of Fernando Alonso, who has also pitted. So who hasn't pitted yet? Piastri and Hamilton, and Bottas and Ocon. They're the only drivers who haven't pitted yet. But my team running, Yuki Tsunoda didn't start, and Russell and Ocon under investigation here for leading the track and gaining an advantage.
I don't know which one move it tends to be the bad drivers, isn't it, in the numbers? When they put that out.
Let's have a look, shall we? This is after George Russell had pitted. Here's Esteban Ocon arriving on the scene. Did George Russell gain an advantage there by going straight on, i.e., did he manage to defend that position against Esteban Ocon only by leaving the track?
Absolutely, it's George the bad boy, because Ocon very much made the racing line.
This is what's interesting at the moment as we watch Piastri pits. Carlos Sainz completes another lap. Carlos Sainz about 4/10 of a second faster.
Fuck you, Mac.
Than Max Verstappen. So, have to see this, don't we? Cars starting to come alive.
Lewis Hamilton in the lead.
As it stands at the moment, unless he's pushing too hard too soon, these hard tyres really seem
Never
to
mind, he's in 6. Wait, no, wait, hang on.
Well, this is going to be tight. Sorry, Martin.
I
And it's
must
not
be
tight.
imagining
It's
maybe.
touching. Lando Norris ahead of Oscar Piastri, but not with a bit of argy, without a bit of argy-bargy and elbows out into that chicane. And a penalty for George Russell.
Are you kidding me? George Russell gets a 5-second penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage.
Because he's a long way ahead of Ocon now. He's actually 7 or 8 seconds. To give the place back to Ocon, he'd also have to let Bottas and Albon through. So they've given him a penalty instead.
Here we see Lewis Hamilton.
Well, he's going to end up in dead last.
Through into the parabolic we go. Hamilton leads this race. Hasn't pitted yet. Running the hard compound tyre right at the start. And Verstappen is right on his tail. And we see these two tackle a bit into the first chicane. I'm not sure we're going to get that here because Verstappen has got fresher tyres, has got a pace advantage, and is past Lewis Hamilton and back into the lead long before we get to that first chicane.
What a difference 2 years makes. Perez looking pretty racy there behind the Ferraris as well.
Still, Carlos Sainz lapping faster, another 4/10 faster than Max Verstappen. He's got another 4.5 seconds to try and gain on Verstappen, who now has clean air. Might be able to bang into further lines himself, but certainly Sainz enjoying himself a lot more, I think, on these hard compound tyres. Race control has noted that incident between Norris and Piastri for a potential collision and potential stewards investigation. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I did see a different angle, but I couldn't see too much wrong from what the angle I did see of the two teammates swapping over the same piece of tarmac. But yeah, you're right. the Ferrari is going very well at this phase.
So out in front then, Verstappen from Hamilton by a second and a half. Hamilton hasn't pitted yet. The only other driver not to pit yet is Valtteri Bottas, his former Mercedes teammate. So it looks really good for Lewis Hamilton at the moment. Don't forget, he's going to lose 24 seconds when he does come into the pits. Nonetheless,
I'm going to eat after the Formula One race is over. It's not that long. It's only 51 laps.
That it would aid their strategy, Ted Travis, this weekend if it did indeed happen. Is there a move here from Prix? No, yeah, you only lose 12 seconds under a safety car or a virtual safety car. So one man who has just pitted properly is Esteban Ocon. That's Esteban Ocon, who's rejoined 19. Esteban Ocon is not in a race with George Russell. So talk about pointless penalties. Why did Mercedes not tell Russell, look, let him pass. He's not in our race. Yes, you'll lose a bit of time, but at least to avoid this 5-second penalty. It's a very frustrating penalty as far as Mercedes and Russell are concerned. Fighting with somebody they weren't even in a race with.
The only thing I would say, yeah, you're right, Ted. The only thing I would say is Albon's 9 seconds behind him at the moment, so a 5-second penalty is costing him nothing.
So this is that turn one incident.
Ooh, that was lucky.
It looks a harder crunch from the onboard there than from the off-board. Is that Oscar just going a little bit too deep in there, and could that have been avoided?
Looks like Monza first corner to me with one car exiting the pits, but you're hardly going to get one part of the team complaining against the other, right? So, well, they could have both been around, both been damaged, or indeed Norris could have ended up on his head there.
So Charles Leclerc is in a great position at the moment. I mean, not because he's got Sergio Perez right on his gearbox, but because he's within DRS range of his teammate Carlos Sainz, and well, it's giving him a speed advantage or an extra burst of speed down that main straight that is keeping the Red Bull behind at bay. So whilst Leclerc, I'm sure, would like to have been ahead of Carlos Sainz when they came out of the pits and the pit stop round had been done, this advantage that Sainz is giving him is rather helping his cause. How hard is Carlos Sainz having to push though without DRS to try and help his teammate continue that advantage? It was a tenth of a second slower, by the way, than Verstappen on that previous lap. Now that Verstappen has got...
I'm only going live for race reactions now because of school and shit and all that. I'm really struggling with the school and shit. Yeah. That's why I'm doing race reactions only now until further notice. No, dude, probably do normal streams of somewhere around maybe Thanksgiving and some shit. Yeah. Or maybe around Christmas. We have like 2 months left of the off season. But that doesn't change the fact. Yep, you guessed it. It's school and shit. No, yeah, it's school that's stressing me out a lot lately. Just keep that in mind. Don't worry, I'm okay though. It's just a lot.
Up to the checkered flag. Here comes the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. They can't quite get him out ahead of Fernando, but he does return to the track ahead of Liam Lawson. As I say, Martin, on fresher tires.
Yeah,
hopefully we'll get a new winner this today. I'm gonna go back to sleep after.
Everybody else is experiencing higher degradation on their tyres as well, higher than everybody expected here today in Monza, probably because of the hottest conditions. This is the hottest it's been, by the way, all weekend long. So they're in a bit of a new territory, and I think I agree, Martin. Lewis now on those mediums, out of sync to everyone else around him. His fight today is with the 2 McLarens and Alex Albon.
Got a long way to go on this tyre.
And yeah, just that message there proves how he is concerned about the length that he can go, and everyone else can go on their tyres today. It won't just be such a simple one-stopper after all.
Yes, because by the time we get to the last 10 laps or so, Martin, the tyres are wearing, and we'll get some differing speeds, and we'll see who's been rather kinder on their 4 sets of Pirelli rubbers.
Yeah, the hard tyres will degrade much less, about half as much as the yellow mark mediums we saw. So that bodes well for Ferrari. But you sort of looking at Perez there. I mean,
we have Lewis Hamilton making a move off Fernando Alonso, making a move into the first chicane. Hamilton gets that done, so he can now get his foot down and try and close in on the 2 McLarens, which is potentially his target for this race. Hamilton up tonight.
Yeah, he'll be hunting down Piastri, Norris, and Albon, and maybe even his teammate Russell with a 5-second penalty.
We shall see. Ted Pratt, it's down to you.
Well, you mentioned Albon. Albon's slow. I've been looking at his lap times, 1:27. The McLarens around him are 1:26. McLaren, I think Albon's tyres have gone off. He pitted on that 13 of his tyres. The McLaren engineers have been on the radio to Lando and to Oscar to say Albon's overheated his rear tyres. He's vulnerable. Try and go get it.
Thank you ever so much indeed, Ted. Max Verstappen set the new fastest lap of this race, which might make you think he's just cantering out in the lead at the moment. But Ferrari's already a 10-2 behind him on that previous lap. His teammate Sergio Perez, though, has the frustration of the 2 Ferraris between him and Max. And is he going to go down the inside? Is Perez looking? I think he was. And the door just slammed shut right at the last moment for Sergio Perez.
Yeah, he's got a much faster car, I think. As I was starting to say, Verstappen's now got a 6-second lead out front. Such is the race pace of the Red Bull.
Meanwhile, here comes Lando Norris on Alex Albon, who keeps ahead into that first chicane, but for how much longer? Anthony, Sky Race Control.
Yeah, Alex Albon is really complaining about his tyres as well. Like Ted said, lots of degradation there on the Williams. It's been quite a common sight this year, hasn't it? How hard the Williams is on his tyres. And Albon saying, I really think we're going to need to do plan B here. That's got to be a 2-stop, yeah?
Yeah, which is never a successful way unless there's a safety car intervention around this particular racetrack. Just look here, once again, Alex Albon defending and a lock-up from Lando Norris as he tried to make that move. That won't help preserve the tread on his tyres any longer. As down the back straight, once again, Carlos Sainz leads Charles Leclerc, leads Sergio Perez, all behind Max Verstappen.
Yeah, Albon came in on lap 16. That makes his tyres 7 laps older, 7 laps of this mighty circuit. Older than Oscar Piastri's. Look at this, how close Perez is now. And look at that too.
I'm asking someone on Instagram right now if Yuki had an engine failure. I might be wrong.
From Charles Leclerc manages to keep hold of that 3rd place. Desperate times, desperate moves, and stout defending from Charles Leclerc. Sergio Perez has got great traction coming around the curve of Grande. He's trying to work out which way do I go. Left, right. He's going right, and he's touched and made contact potentially. Certainly gone to the ground to Sergio Perez. He was desperately trying to find his way past Charles Leclerc. That could have ended very, very badly.
Oh my god.
Out of the throttle in the middle of curve Grande at so much speed and nowhere to take it, Sergio Perez.
Just have a little look again. He thought the gap was there.
I don't think it's out. I think he just tipped the right rear into the dust. But he has got a much faster race car. Can they keep this Red Bull behind them? The pair of Ferrari drivers.
Whatever happens between now and the checkered flag, Ferrari and their drivers have given it everything to give the best possible result for the Tifosi here in Monza this weekend.
It's giving Sainz a little bit of breathing space as well, isn't it? He's closer now.
He hasn't got DRS once again, Charles Leclerc, so he knows what's coming because it happened on the previous lap. Sergio Perez
No.
and then makes the move.
No.
Charles Leclerc tries to fight it back under braking into that first.
Oh my god, fuck you, Red Bull.
Up into the podium places, one Ferrari dispatched, another Ferrari to go.
Yeah, I think he'll get after Sainz pretty quickly now. And out front, Verstappen's got plenty of time and space to
Hey, over me.
It's very comfortable out there as these three fight
fucking vote.
tooth and nail.
No.
Let's have a little look how Sergio manages to get past Charles Leclerc. Took him a while. It took him a while. But I'm sure it was well worth it. He moved
Voting
himself
will open
up
towards the end of the race.
into
Page will update when the vote
places
opens.
He
Okay.
hasn't finished on the podium here at Monza since he was second for Sauber back in 2012. Yeah, Gasly pitched for a second time in this race, which has been led by Max Verstappen, one of 5 different leaders today. No race this season, so more than 3 different leaders in the past. Lewis Hamilton was the 5th leader before he was overtaken by Verstappen and then pitted. Hamilton on the medium tyre in 9th and closing in bit by bit on Oscar Piastri ahead, about 4 seconds. The gap between Piastri and Hamilton.
Sorry, I'm checking
Yeah,
Instagram right
Hamilton's
now.
here clear there because his pace is 26.4 last time around. Wasn't that special on the medium compound tyres. So he looked like he was going to take off, didn't he? But right now he's not making the gap back to Piastri that I was perhaps expecting.
Okay, try your best.
He's left to defend a lot, and he's going to be defending again soon, I think. And talking of defence, Alex Albon and Lando Norris gaining on him once more, and Oscar Piastri right on the tail of his teammate. As we had to say,
I think the reason, Martin, that Lewis maybe isn't making the headway expected is that he's been told to look after his left rear tyre. That was the limitation.
I can't
on the hard
read
tyres.
military
Came off
time.
after the first
Sorry.
say, the Mercedes engineers, and Lewis being told, look, try and look after those rear tyres. Use the front axle as much as you can.
I only know 20.
Yeah,
I only know 12-hour
yeah.
times.
Not that many called 10 corners really. They count 11, but Curva Grande doesn't show up as a corner for these cars, although it's still
Okay.
the left rear tyre. So the high speed stuff.
Yeah,
is left
broke
to that
information
outside,
left.
really pounding.
Verstappen's last lap.
Oh my God.
Perez matches
No.
at that 125. Goes quicker still. Sets a new fastest lap of the race in a very comfortable position. Lap 33 he was 7.5 seconds clear. His old race number, of course, 33. Now races with number 1, and I dare say Martin at the end of the season will continue to race with that number 1 in a row. Unlikely they'll win it in Singapore. Japan is lead would have to be 180 points after that race, so potential there. After Qatar, the lead would have to be 146 points. And going into this race, he had a lead of 138 over his teammate Sergio Perez.
We were given different sort of opinions with our previous one about just how effective DRS was or wasn't, weren't we, when we went to the various teams that will have a chat with us. And well, nobody's really breezing past anybody else that easily, are they? It's not looked that effective.
But this is what DRS should do.
Yeah.
It should enable you to arrive into the braking zone level with the car you're trying to overtake. You should get moments like that where Esteban Ocon gets past Kevin Magnussen. Ocon ahead of Liam Lawson, by the way, who was just pitted for a second time. And Joe Guan Yu, who's also visited the pits twice in this race. The thing is that Ferrari has good straight line speed, and with DRS as well, then the Red Bull, which is slower in a straight line, is not going to blast clear, certainly not in the hands of Sergio Perez. And Max Verstappen made it look a little bit easier to get ahead, but there is that example of the DRS opening.
It's opening and closing for Leclerc there, slightly strangely. So Perez suddenly didn't have the rear wing open. Leclerc did, but then it closed, then it opened again.
There is Charles Leclerc, the winner, of course, here at Monza in front of the Tifosi in 2019. Started on pole last year, came home to finish second. The man who started second this year is currently en route for victory.
Doing a great job at the minute, managing it nicely. I'm starting to struggle.
It's Lando Norris, who we saw locking up, trying to get past Alex Albon. Is staying about half a second behind Alex Albon, lap after lap after lap. It's a frustrating place, isn't it, Martin, when you just haven't got the top speed to try and make those overtakes.
And we have seen, particularly Alex Albon and Williams, really defending and hanging on to some positions happening through this season once they got up and running with some decent speed.
And for Alex Albon, who was 8th in the last race, and was 8th at Silverstone as well, to come home.
Okay, Lando, we think that I was struggling quite a lot here. Yeah, I see the same as you see.
And to come home and take a sixth place here will be an absolute boost for him. But where's his challenge? Norris, Piastri, or Lewis Hamilton, who's gaining on the McLarens as well. Let's go to Mercedes Communications Director Bradley Lord, whose eyes and ears in the garage. So Lewis's strategy working the way you expected it to?
More or less, I think, yeah. And we knew that we'd sort of take some pain as we boxed and had to come through Alonso, and then hopefully Lewis can eke out that medium tyre in a way that gives him enough performance differential when he gets up to the McLarens and to Albon to make some moves. So let's wait and see what the next sort of 16 laps hold.
He probably hasn't taken off quite as quick as I thought he might on those fresh medium tyres. Is he in some management mode? We heard he was protecting the left rear.
Yeah, they need some management at the start of the stint, Martin, to get them to the end on what is a pretty long sort of half-race stint. But hopefully he's able to, there's no one better than Lewis at eking out that tyre life and able to extend a stint and keep goodness in them for when he needs it. So hopefully he'll be able to do exactly that. As others in front also push towards the end of their tyre life on that hard.
Meanwhile, George Russell in fifth has that 5-second penalty. Shouldn't affect him too much because Alex is 15 seconds further back. But that's a frustrating penalty for him to pick up, tangling with Esteban Ocon a bit.
Yeah, I think he came out of the pits on, a relatively cool set of hards, and they just, locked up a little bit into turn one. So, but as you say, it's probably going to prove to be academic in the end because he's still sort of pulling away from Albon, and hopefully we'll, be able to maintain that gap to the finish.
Any thought of saying to him straight away, give that place back, or did you not know about it?
We'd seen him come straight on, hadn't seen the detail of it, and he was already a long way up the road. So, to be honest, he'd have lost more than 5 seconds by giving it back, I think.
Bradley, thanks ever so much. Great to have your company in the garage for us this weekend.
I got a fine.
Fernando Norris.
37 of 50.
You got away screwed because I don't know how this started last time.
Others haven't made it as far on the medium time.
Well, Lewis Hamilton needs to go 22 laps on that C4 compound. Last year, Max Verstappen completed 25 laps on the C4 tyre as well. Just to give you a bit of indication, there's a bit more downforce going on these cars from last year. He doesn't seem quite so assured by that strategy at the moment, Martin, as Bradley was sat in the garage.
No, he's having one of his grumpy days about his tyres, doesn't he? But Piastri got them to 23 laps into the race, of course, with a lot more fuel on board. Norris 22 laps, Fernando 21 laps into the race. They ought to get to the end with half tanks of fuel.
Fact of the matter is, as well, that he can probably now see this little battle for 6th and 7th and 8th. He's 2.5 seconds. He's got Piastri by quite a lot. It's like Alex Albon's really struggling, and that's slowing the others down. So is this Lando Norris's chance to finally get past Alex Albon here? He's had a couple of goes at it. We've seen a couple of lockups. Is he going to be far enough alongside Alex Albon to try and go round at the first chicane on the inside? He had to bail out halfway through the chicane. Now gets the place, but I think he's going to have to concede that and swap it around again. Alex Albon survives for another lap at least.
Yeah, what he's not allowed to do is go steaming up the inside into the next chicane. The Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Raikkonen scenario, which was Spa a long time ago. But so Lando realised that, and he went for it. He tried to find himself some space around the outside and sensibly bailed out and then gave the place back. And he had to give it back carefully so he didn't lose a place himself to his teammates.
Did Alex Albon push Lando Norris off? I'm sure we're going to hear something similar.
He forced me off. I was completely alongside. He saw that. I was completely alongside. He saw me.
Doesn't surprise me at all to hear that. There certainly was the space for two cars to go wheel to wheel through that part of the chicane.
Yeah, we'll see what the stewards say. For me, if you chance your luck around the outside of a tight chicane in a 2 metre wide, 5 metre long car, you might lose out. And I don't think you could just take it for granted you're entitled for the other guy to get out of the way. You can't just crank a load more steering lock in. You're on the limit.
Anthony Davison at Race Control tells me that Albon had full lock on all the way through that. He couldn't have gone any further to the right because he had the full lock on. and he's got the luxury of breathing a little more easily, I think, into the chicane this time around. Hamilton, by the way, now 1.5 seconds pretty much behind Oscar Piastri. He is joining at a rate of knots this little battle. And I think
Sorry, I was
he's going
playing
to join a
with my
DRS
little
train,
rabbit.
which might
I had
hamper his
played, was
progress a
picking
bit, but he
her
is
up
on much
and
fresher tyres,
imagining
isn't he,
she
than
was
Oscar Piastri?
Formula
Yeah,
1.
I mean, if Lewis starts
It's
getting
just
in
an
amongst these three,
imagination.
that's going to stir it up.
Okay,
As you can see on the picture now,
so
there's down the back straight.
Saints, Perez, and
The
Leclerc.
only car that's been lapped in this race
Fuck
so
it.
far.
I'm
He's got
voting for
Carlos
Saints
Sainz
today.
behind him, Sergio Perez behind him, Charles Leclerc.
Fernando, box to overtake, box to overtake. Yeah, Fisher comes first.
And Charles Leclerc in fourth, still with DRS, still behind Sergio Perez. And I think there's still a tasty little scrap for 2 of the 3 podium places going on here. The winner might have said this season, correct me if I'm wrong, might have checked out. We'll be thinking about that victory already.
Absolutely, it's going to take us out. But up front, particles, reliability, traffic, punctures, you're never home until you're home. But what interests me here is Perez has moved towards Sainz. We expected that, especially as the stint unravelled. But Leclerc has very gamely hung on behind him.
Ted, let's head down to you.
It was a dummy. It was a McLaren dummy to try and get Albon into pit, and it hasn't worked.
Well, I didn't fall for it. I'd be amazed if anyone did.
McLaren, the mechanics were out with Lando's tyres, and they've gone back into the garage. Nice trying, McLaren, didn't work.
Lewis Hamilton now. I said he was gaining on Oscar Piastri, and not just gaining, going for the overtake. Runs out of room. Piastri runs out of a bit of room too and has to cut the chicane and cut the corner. But I'm not sure how much longer Oscar Piastri is going to be able to defend here against Lewis Hamilton, who has been stalking this trio ahead. And in the last 3 laps has been making some sizable inroads into their advantage.
Yeah, I think Lewis better to fall in love with this set of tyres finally, because he looks a lot faster than those 3.
And Sergio Perez looks an awful lot faster than Carlos Sainz as down the straight we go now. And Sainz is wondering which way Perez is going to go. And under braking once more. Sergio Perez looks like he lifts off the throttle just that little bit earlier than the car he's trying to overtake. So Sainz holds on to 2nd place. Perez still at the podium, and Charles Leclerc still hanging on to that 4th place. It's just been a terrific Italian Grand Prix. It really has. And Ferrari giving it everything. Carlos Sainz defending so stoutly throughout this entire race.
Yeah, they really have that. They came with a vengeance to this track, did Ferrari, throwing everything at it as Lewis Hamilton cuts back to get a better exit out of the first chicane.
And under traction as they get their foots flat to the floor. Who's got the better grip? Who's got the bravery around the curve of Grande? They are going millimetres from each other. Lewis Hamilton and Oscar Piastri, and they crashed. And Lewis Hamilton makes contact with Oscar Piastri, and they both make their way through the escape road. But is there damage on that Mercedes or the McLaren?
Front wing damage on the McLaren, and will have to come in. So hopefully not suspension damage on the Mercedes. That was quite a lot of contact, wasn't it? So released, and now all of a sudden Fernando Alonso smelling some more points.
And Sergio Perez is smelling 2nd place once again, and he's caught the whiff of it once or twice in this race. And is he going to get the full sense of smelling sensation of 2nd? No, because once again Carlos Sainz manages to defend. And I'll tell you what, if Sainz keeps doing this, Charles Leclerc is going to have a moment where he can overtake Sergio Perez.
He'll have a lunge somewhere, won't he? So 2nd, 3rd and 4th, Verstappen 10 seconds out front now, as you can see for yourself at the top of the screen. I want to see a replay of the Piastri-Hamilton and see what happened there as to why they ended up making contact.
Piastri into the pits then to change that front wing. Also into the pits a couple of laps ago, Esteban Ocon. He's retired. Ted, down to you.
Oscar's sat in the box shaking his head. He knows that was a little bit needless. He's thrown away any chance of points. Nice nose change from the McLaren mechanics. That's all they could do. Looks like Hamilton hasn't sustained any significant damage.
I'm sure he'll be thinking that his team principal, and I'm sure Andrea Stella would have said this, whatever you do today, just take the maximum points we can from this race.
It is the crossfit, the braking.
Yeah, we saw that.
He squeezed him, didn't he? Yeah, squeezed him.
Looks like it.
So to me on that one, I'll watch it again. Well, I don't think Piastri went left. And to agree with me from Sky Race Control, I think that was Lewis coming to the right.
Here goes Sergio Perez, wanted to go to the right. Carlos Sainz sees that coming and moves over to cut him out. Perez is still trying to fight that and has to go onto the escape road. Now, right behind here is Charles Leclerc. Perez rejoins the track, still behind Carlos Sainz. But that looks a lot more tasty than it initially appeared, as the stewards now say they're going to look at that Piastri Hamilton moment.
Yeah,
Matt Ferrari
across that
goes
escape road. The chance of picking up a punch is
second,
high.
fourth.
She's moving really late to picking.
He did move, Carlos Sainz. Whether it was late or not is a matter of opinion. I'll leave that to the driver alongside me here, but he certainly did move. Or was that just him moving to take the line he wanted?
He is moving quite late now. He's in danger of moving twice, which you're not allowed to do. But you are, as long as you leave a car's width on the outside, you're fundamentally complying with the regulations. But you can't move right at the last moment.
Quickly head down to the Mercedes garage. Bradley Law, damage to Lewis Hamilton's car or not?
He's reported the rear end feeling different to how it did previously, understandably. And there was maybe some bits of carbon flying through the air, but exactly what it is, we don't know. The tyre seems okay, so he's now just trying to adapt and pushing up.
Thanks ever so much, Bradley. Down the main straight once more. Sergio Perez with DRS. Little speed advantage with the Ferrari. Sainz is looking for him on the inside. He's trying around the outside on this particular occasion. And still there's no room to pass.
She did the same times. See him on. Quick reported.
That's Hugh Bird, Sergio's race engineer, that is relaying the information that they have said at Red Bull. We're not overly happy with the way Carlos Sainz is moving around in the braking zone.
He's right on the limit, but we haven't seen anything from the stewards. And by the way, I don't think he's actually done anything kind of as a heinous crime at the moment, Sainz. But he's pushing all the limits in his defence.
Meanwhile, Lando Norris a lot closer here to Alex Albon. Points finish in all his 4 previous starts at Monza. He did like 6th place in
Lewis Hamilton got a penalty.
As into the chicane we go now. Albon still ahead of Lando Norris for causing a collision. Lewis Hamilton gets a 5-second time penalty. And what was your comment, Martin? Fernando Alonso will wake up. He might smell some points here. He's currently just under 4 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. He definitely will be smelling a few more points now.
But Hamilton clearly hasn't got any damage. He was 6-7 tenths quicker than this pair in front of him on the previous lap.
There's potential for a lot of changes here.
Another
There's
one is
potential for Perez for many laps. This looks like his best
Yuki
shot so
finishing
far,
dead
but
last,
Carlos
and
Sainz
the
is
other
still
person
sticking with
finished
it. And once again, Sergio Perez has to bail left and into the runoff area. And whilst he does go into second place, surely they're going to have to swap that round again. And they do.
Yeah, he definitely was. He had a good run round the outside there, and
Come on.
His space just disappeared. If he complains about that one, I think that's fair enough.
Here goes Lewis Hamilton on Lando Norris, who's been trying to get past Alex Albon for so long, and he might now find himself behind the rear wing of the Mercedes. Hamilton moves up into 7th place, and he'll have a go at Alex Albon next.
So Norris's job now to stay within 5 seconds of Lewis Hamilton.
2-stop strategy for Liam Lawson, by the way, and he's just passed Lance Stroll, who is tangling a little bit with Oscar Piastri too. Piastri pitted for a second time.
It's a bit in a group. Come on. We cannot ride like this.
Yeah, I think that, for me, that one's fair enough. I think he was far enough alongside and there was enough space that he earned the right there to serve a little bit of space around the outside and turn on much closer this time.
The only thing that's going to make Sergio Perez happy here is if he gets this overtake done. And they're trying to break the toe, Carlos Sainz, but they're now wheel to wheel. Perez looks like he's ahead, and Perez has got his back as Carlos Sainz locks up. Sergio Perez finally makes the move stick. Finally goes through the first
Come on, my little Ferrari boys.
And finally gets second place.
He'll check out now, but Sainz has been so good on the brakes down into turn 1. but on that occasion, he was out of position.
So, Verstappen from Perez, Sainz from Leclerc, Russell on his own in fifth place, and Alex Albon ahead of Lewis Hamilton, but for how much longer? Because here goes Lewis Hamilton now into the braking zone, and is there room for him to swing across the track and ahead of the
I'm going on fucking Google again because I'm so fucking not.
Lewis Hamilton should get a much better getaway, but I tell you what, they're going to remember this
I
race
don't
for a
have
while.
time
Some
for
of these
this.
drivers, Albon's been defending, like a team from League Two playing the Premier League champions in a cup match. You know, it's been back to the wall for pretty much all the race.
It was, they were both harvesting electricity down, electrical power down into the second chicane there. But Albon was harvesting down the end of the pit straight as well, which was putting him under pressure from Hamilton.
And Carlos Sainz all his work to keep Sergio Perez.
I'll show you my Halloween. I'll show you what my Halloween PFP is going to be like. This could be what wins, please.
And he is. Carlos Sainz has battled so hard during the course of this race. Charles Leclerc gets ahead, moves up into the podium places, but locks up in doing so. Just outbreaks himself a little bit. The Ferraris are going to carry this scrap on now through the Curva Grande. Oh, there wasn't much room there. What's there between the wheels on two cars? And now, through the Curva Grande they go. Charles Leclerc's on the inside. Carlos Sainz is giving him enough space. But we see moves go desperately wrong into this chicane, and Sainz locks up, and somehow they avoid contact. Sainz is back ahead, and Charles Leclerc, that could have been nasty.
And they both ran off the road, so I don't think there was any position to be given back there. He didn't retain a position because of it. Great fighting.
And fighting his way up into sixth is Lewis Hamilton. He's gone past Alex Albon. So that strategy to put him on the medium tyres has definitely worked there. But he's still got a 5-second penalty, remember, to come at the end of this race. As Albon will now have to defend against Lando Norris. And what were we saying, Martin? Last 10 laps of the race, some people are going to be struggling on tyres, and others might take advantage of it.
It's heading that way. But Hamilton taking off from that. It's critical now for Lando Norris to get past the Williams. I think what has any chance of staying within 5 seconds of Lewis Hamilton.
And also for Fernando Alonso to try and get past Lando Norris too, because Alonso's now joined up to the back of Norris, and he wants to keep within 5 seconds of Lewis Hamilton. Here goes Charles Leclerc for another go on Carlos Sainz. Penny for your thoughts, Frederick Vasseur on the Ferrari team pit wall. I doubt he's even watching this race, and if he is, he's probably doing it, peeping through the fingers of both hands. Because this could go horribly right or horribly wrong.
Yeah, what we saw with Sainz, he went around the outside of this Curva Grande last time. So he went the longer distance, he lost out a bit, but that gave him inside line then for this chicane. Just enough. Great racing.
This is how Lewis Hamilton got past Alex Albon. Into turn one, feeble overtaking spot as it is. He's pulled off a few of those moves in his time as Lewis Hamilton. Goes round the outside of Alex Albon, which then gives it, Martin, as long as he can stay on the track, which he does, a much better line and route out of it.
So yeah, he closed off Albon's exit basically at that point. So at the moment then, Hamilton is 2.1 ahead of Albon and 2.4 ahead of Norris and 3 seconds ahead of Alonso. So he still hasn't got that to 6th position. He's still effectively 8th or 9th.
What he needs is Alex Albon to defend against Norris and Alonso, and if he can, that might just save his bacon on this day. Here comes Charles Leclerc again. Carlos Sainz locking up once more, and that could give a bounce over the curves. Charles Leclerc, the impetus and the momentum of turn two to get past his teammate didn't happen on that particular occasion.
I don't think that the team can intervene with this in terms of position. They might call it off with it on the final lap. Like, okay, hold station now. You've had your fun. You've had your chances.
Well, it would be hard on Carlos Sainz to miss out on a podium after driving as superbly as he possibly can under the limitations of his tyre wear. It would be harsh a little bit on Charles Leclerc. Obviously slides his way out of the second Lesbo to not get the chance of a podium.
Bizarrely, Magnussen's captain and trying to unlap himself.
Guys, let's bring this home.
And that's Carlos Sainz saying, please just tell him to stay where he is, because George Russell is not a threat to us currently.
Yeah, you'd have to think there's no home station, but let's see how they go. If you were sitting on the pit wall at Ferrari, you might be like, right, we're third and fourth, the only thing we have now is to take each other out of the race.
And the thing is, on a day when Ferrari will move ahead of Aston Martin in the Constructors' Championships as well, they need all these points. With DRS for Charles Leclerc, and there's a potential podium for him in his home race, or his team's home race, but Carlos Sainz, later on the braking, once more, stays ahead of his teammate. And if you were Kevin Magnussen, would you be thinking, I'm just going a little bit later on the braking, I could have lap myself here, I could get involved with this.
Yeah, I don't think you want to get involved in that. He's in the customer Ferrari engine car, of course, but I don't think you want to get involved in this particular squabble. He's down there in 18th in what is last place at the moment.
And out in front, Max Verstappen leads
I'll show you what my Halloween profile picture is going to be like on this year. It's the same one, but it's a solo.
This is Oscar Piastri on the left-hand side. Is Liam Lawson, the two youngest drivers in the race. And Piastri having to bail
It's
out
this.
on the chicane there.
I'm not using it right now, but
It's certainly showing.
I'm going to use it next
Not yet.
No risk, right hand Killian, no risk.
Contradiction in terms.
Now, that's
Logan Sarant got a
to
penalty.
Charles Leclerc's radio. Final lap. Logan
5
Sargent has been given a 5-second time penalty for
a collision.
That was with Valtteri Bottas.
He got a penalty for causing a collision.
On the screen now, this carrying that 5.8 clear. So he's now in a true 6th place.
No, please,
Awful for Ferrari.
Phew.
Right to the back of his teammate.
I can't imagine he's got any fillings in his teeth, but they'll be rattled out if he has. The front tyres will feel horrendous now. And when you get up to a couple of hundred miles.
Looks like I'm stuck with Ferrari again.
Absolutely loving this, but the potential for it all to go wrong seems to be there around every corner currently. One thing that hasn't gone wrong today is Max Verstappen's race plan on a day that could be the record-breaking day for Max Verstappen and his Red Bull team. He's got one more corner to go, and he's got 6.5 seconds between himself and Sergio Perez. There is your race leader, the man that has been undefeated in either Grand Prix racing or sprint racing since April the 30th. It is going to be another win for Max Verstappen. For the first time in F1 history, it's 10 wins in succession. A perfect 10 out of 10 from Max Verstappen as he wins the Italian Grand Prix. It's a 1-2 finish for Red Bull. It is a fight all the way to the line for Ferrari. And Carlos Sainz comes home by a 10th of a second to beat his teammate Charles Leclerc and take that final podium place. But the race is still on. George Russell to finish with, and his teammate Lewis Hamilton
Looks like I'm stuck with Ferrari. I mean, not Ferrari. I mean, Red Bull again.
For Alex Albon. Albon defending against Lando Norris. Fernando Alonso right to the heart of this battle, the back of this battle too. Hamilton takes the line now to come home 6th. Alex Albon takes the checkered flag, 7th on the road ahead of Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso. Valtteri Bottas will claim a point for coming in 10th place. And what was the gap between Hamilton and those behind him? Is it enough to protect his 6th place?
They've already applied the 5 seconds, so he was 7.4 ahead of Albon.
Okay, Max, you've done it. A little bit of history to go with it.
Not too bad. Hold on, guys. Another win. Unbelievable. And a nice one too as well.
Max, that is mighty. 10 races in a row, you're on your own, mate, now. That's history. Unbelievable. Well done.
Yeah, that's a nice step.
Yeah, you can be proud of that.
The stream will come to a close. The stream will come to the close after the national anthem.
Well, now he likes the stats, and so he should, and so Red Bull should too. That's a 15th win in a row for the Red Bull team. and no team has ever done that in the history of the Formula One World Championship. But 10 out of 10 for Max Verstappen for a driver that you have to give 10 out of 10 for most races these days.
The last non-Red Bull winner would have been Brazil last year, George
Russell.
Yeah, that's how far back you've got to go for any other team win a race.
I'll say that's a pretty wicked job. You called that one. Technically, awesome. Yeah, good job, guys. And Russell. Yeah, good job. Well done, guys.
It was a great drive from Sergio. A well-deserved second place. Kept his head because the Ferrari. You got to hand it to the Ferrari boys. They knew they weren't as fast as Red Bull in the race. They told us that this morning, didn't they?
Correct.
We knew that. But my goodness, did they try their very best to use what they did have and try to keep the Red Bulls behind them.
I love this. Red Bull in formation, Ferrari in formation too. And the top four, Martin. I just want to applaud. What a race we have had today. Verstappen might have won by 6 seconds, but there was a lot of action there.
You nailed it. Good job. Yeah, that was fun. Oh, tires. Oh, good job, guys.
And he's going to get the privilege, the pleasure of being up on that podium as a Ferrari driver.
Yeah, where he's been, of course, before in 2020 when he came runner-up that year to Pierre Gasly, but always a good place to head back to. I just that was an absolute pleasure to watch alongside.
I'm stuck with Red Bull again.
The Red Bull were probably going to preserve them a little bit better, but no team made it easy for each other. Ferrari, that sort of defence will serve them well.
Yeah, it was right on the limit and slightly over the limit occasionally, but they just would try.
It's fucking Max.
Nothing can stop the Red Bull steamroller.
This idiot.
Well, it's a steamroller and a juggernaut at high speed. And when McLaren came here in 1988 trying to win every race in a season and didn't quite make that step.
What do you mean, yes?
Certainly got that little Monza tick box all checked off. The curse of Monza disappears as Max Verstappen returns to a track and A fails to finish, doesn't fail to finish. B manages to pick up the win too.
I mean, yes. What do you mean?
Every race this season.
God.
Driver of the day, Carlos Sainz. Yes.
Fuck
I wholeheartedly agree with whoever voted for Carlos there. 31% of the vote.
It was me. I voted
I
Carlos
can't wait to hear the
Sainz.
thoughts of Carlos Sainz as well. Especially when someone asks him, so how did you feel when your
Shut the
teammate
fuck
was
up.
closing on you lap after lap and putting you under that pressure?
And they're still smiling, the two Ferrari boys.
I'm stuck with Ferrari because of
It
you
was,
and your
uh,
stupid
I
teammate.
think I called it along my head, didn't it? That was always going to be a fight for the final podium position, assuming Perez made his way through, and he did well. Verstappen, he was only 6 seconds behind Verstappen, but Max was just coasting in the end. 2-3 seconds a lap slow sometimes, just coasting in.
Fastest lap of the race came to Oscar Piastri, who got a 5-second time penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage, and that would have been his move on Liam Lawson, and with Liam Lawson, who finishes 11th in his second Formula One race. They put him on a 2-stop strategy on the fringes of the points for Liam Lawson today.
I end Formula One race reactions after the
Piastri
national
obviously
anthem.
didn't
Have
give
back
that
to
place
the
back. They had to
national
take a 5-second
anthem
penalty
yet.
for it.
Soon we will.
He had a few adventures. Hamilton got a 5-second penalty for running into him, but more than compensated for it. Russell got a 5-second penalty, but it didn't matter either. So that's a bit of a story, isn't it? Keep your
Yeah.
foot in. make your place on track. Keep your foot in. Take pain later.
And the 5-second penalty is what the stewards tend to give for those particular moments. Nothing unusual in that 5-second penalty. Plenty to be discussed, but for the time being, shall we hear from the top three? Nico Rosberg has the mic in his hand. He's with Carlos.
Is there going to be an interview?
Oh, Carlos, what an incredible Formula One race we saw out there, and especially also thanks to your
2030. This is
defending. I mean, that was just
2023,
unbelievable.
bruh.
How hard was that out there?
Very tough, very tough. You cannot get any tougher than what it was today. Honestly, the whole
This
race
is 2023. What did you
very hard
expect?
to keep the Red Bulls behind, and that obviously made me use the rear tires a lot, trying to keep up with them and trying to keep them behind. And in the end, I ended up paying a bit the price with the rear tires. But I did everything I could to defend with all the cars that I could, and brought it home in the end in P3. But it was a tough one for sure.
And that battle with your teammates, oh my goodness, that was close.
It was tough. It was tough, hard racing. It's always been a pleasure to race Charles whenever we've had the chance, and today was the same. Great racer, same as Mike Sancheco. You know, we have fun out there today, and I hope you guys enjoy those.
I think the Red Bull car was just too fast again today. So can you still be happy with that P3 here, Monza, the home race?
I think we just need to keep working on our pace, on our tire understanding. I think today it was obvious that we were wearing the tires a bit more, and we were just lacking a bit of pace. But it's definitely a big step forward compared to Sandboard. And this weekend we've been best of the rest, which is a good result for the team given the circumstances.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
Checo, what a great catch up you did in that race. Can you be happy with P2?
I think it was basically the maximum we could have achieved today. It was so difficult to overtake, a lot harder than we really thought. I think we were lacking some strength and speed. We were having some great exits out of Parabolica, but still it was not enough. I was most of the time 0.2, 0.3, and 0.2 will give me a chance, but 0.3 I will not even get close. So to get through Charles and then to get through Carlos, it was pretty insane because I had to use a lot of my tires.
And you were trying everything and being creative, trying outside lines and parabolic and everything. Did you at times think, damn, this is not going to work? Or you were
I really thought at times, especially in the beginning, I couldn't get close to Charles because we were stuck in the DRS. I had to put the pressure on Charles, and he loaded the DRS on Carlos. And then, it was also a lot of fighting with him, and in the end, we managed to get one open.
You're facing the race when you're clear, it was really looking good all weekend. Do you think you're going to be able to find some progress now for the rest of the season to get closer to Max?
Yeah, I think we've done a lot of progress on the setup side. I'm feeling a lot more comfortable in the car. So I do expect that we will see the best form in the next races.
We look forward to that then. Good, thanks. Best of luck. Unbelievable once again, another record, 10 in a row. Does that mean something to you? Is that special?
Yeah, I think, I never would have believed that was possible, but we had to work for it today, and that made it definitely a lot more fun.
Yeah, we're looking at one of those moments battling with Carlos all the way through the beginning of the race. How hard was that?
Yeah, we had good pace. I think we were good on the tires, but they had a lot of top speed, and it was so hard to get close and get a move on into turn one, so I had to force me to a mistake, and luckily it came at some point where he locked up, and then I had better traction, of course, out of turn two, and basically from there on we could again do our own race.
You doubted at one point, like, oh man, maybe I'm not going to be able to win this today.
I was just trying to stay patient. It was still a very long race. I could see they were struggling a lot with the rear tires, so I just had to pick my moment.
And after that, just awesome car, felt great, yeah?
Everything felt good. We had to nurse a little issue at the end, but we had luckily, of course, a gap behind, so I could easily back off.
Amazing. So congratulations again to win here in Monza. Very special. Thank you very much.
Our records are there to be broken. He does it on a weekly basis, it seems, at the moment. Max Verstappen.
So he wasn't just coasting in at the end. He was coasting, but clearly, as he said, nursing a little issue. So a little drama popping up there. Whatever it was, they managed it.
So elsewhere, outside of the top three, Lewis Hamilton finishing in the same position as he did at Zandvoort last weekend. Alex Albon matching his and Williams' best results of the season. Lando Norris maintaining his 100% point scoring record here at 5 Monza starts. Verstappen, Hamilton and Alonso continue their record of scoring in every single race this season. Ferrari went ahead of Aston Martin in the Constructors' Championship. Those two look like they've been in a bit of a race today, and I think they have.
You have to say, Sainz has had the edge on Leclerc, hasn't he, through this event?
Yes.
Not very much, but he's pretty much had it in the race.
No viste. Yo me movía antes de la frenada, no voy a hacer nada. Ah, pero más está bien. Los chicos ya no sé, llegaste sin batería, ¿no? Algo así. That's so good. It's lightning like crazy. You see, and we were there here. I mean, you know, like the debit was wired. The touch would see the impact. It was just against him.
Hey, MLCG.
How does Max Verstappen know that was on the last lap?
He must have seen it on the
By
screen
accident.
somewhere, wasn't he, around the one of the fan screens.
I think that's why he went a bit slowly on the last lap. Then he was too busy watching the telly. What an afternoon to be at Monza. Some thrilling moments in the Italian Grand Prix, and the Tifosi, well, they would have wanted a victory, I'm sure. But after the season that their team are having, to walk away with a podium, that is cause for celebration. Being in Monza watching Formula One, I think, is cause for celebration, full stop.
Yeah, I think the Ferrari fans will go home reasonably happy with that. Their boys, their team, at least put up a decent fight to Red Bull today. Aston Martin, a little bit anonymous this weekend.
Yeah.
It just hasn't worked on this high-speed track layout, has it?
They didn't think it would be their best race, but even by those standards, that's a disappointing afternoon for the Silverstone team. But not for Ferrari or for Carlos Sainz. 29 years old on Friday, and a first podium finish of the 2023 season, and it's come at Ferrari's home race. As he shows his
Now
cap
beginning international
display of the Ferrari name. For Sergio Perez, he knows what this podium's like, but it's been a while since he's been on it. 2012 when he finished second at Ford Sauber the last time he stood on this podium. And this man knows what it's all about. His 27th win since the start of last season. That ties to Jackie Stewart's entire career total. Max Verstappen. So yeah, so 27th win since the start of last season and a 47th win in his career. The Pirelli Trophy commissioned by Italian artist. I do think it's rather lovely. And a medal as well from Mohammed bin Sulayem, the FIA president. Verstappen on top of the podium, on top of the world, quite frankly. And it's not if but when he gets another world title to his name, I'm sure. Jamie Tajinski collects the Constructors' Trophy for Red Bull, who we shouldn't forget, 15 race wins in a row, setting a history-making record of the road today.
Very, very impressive indeed. The best podium in motorsport. Le Mans was pretty damn good as well, I must say, but I think this is the best.
Listen to the roar. Listen to the roar. I knew they'd enjoy that. Carlos Sainz started on pole, defended as hard as he could, but couldn't tame the bulls. Who can in 2023? Max Verstappen, 10 out of 10 in succession. The Red Bull juggernaut rolls on.
Hey there, I'm Nicole Briscoe. Thank you for watching ESPN's presentation of the Formula One Pirelli Italian Grand Prix. Our coverage is presented exclusively by Mercedes-Benz. You can see post-race coverage right now. That's over on ESPN.
Well, that's gonna cover up the stream now. I'm going to end it right here. Actually, I don't have time to do an out introduction, but all I can say is I will see you all in 2 weeks for the Singapore Grand Prix. I hope you all enjoy this stream, and I'll see you all in 2 weeks. Have a great rest of your day. And stay tuned for the next race at 6:00 p.m. I am not hosting it. Someone else is going to be hosting it. So I'll see you all there. Have a great rest of your morning and afternoon, which time zone you're in.